Welcome to Relish. I'm Alli. I am a nutritionist and a yoga teacher, and I'm here to talk nutrition with you every week. So welcome to the show. Today is going to be a holiday-inspired show where I will be talking about some fun holiday spices. We've got star anise, which we will be discussing the pronunciation of this a little bit, and we've got allspice. Two very holiday-inspired spices, and I'm wearing my holiday-inspired sweater today. I wore this on the cinnamon episode as well. I thought it would just be fitting to wear it today as well. So, welcome to the show, and please, if you have any questions or comments, I see Kelly has a comment down there below. Yes, I'm so excited to talk about these holiday spices as well. So, put any questions or comments in the chat down below, and I'm happy to discuss with everybody any further questions or comments. So, with that said, we're going to talk about star anise. We're going to talk about allspice. We've got a recipe cooking behind me right now, which is very exciting. I will just let you know what it is. It's mulled wine. So, it's been cooking. It's been cooking today for 2 hours already. And I have a couple of things to add to it, so I just wanted to include everybody in the recipe as well, even though it's been cooking in the slow cooker. Thank goodness for slow cookers. So let's discuss the spices. So I looked up on dictionary.com how to pronounce star anise or star anise, and it said the U.S. pronunciation is star anise and the U.K. pronunciation is star anise. I feel like most of the time I hear people say star anise, but we could also say star anise. For the sake of consistency, I will say star anise during the show. But if you say star anise, kind of the same. So there we go. Okay, I just love this spice because it's so pretty. I just want to hang them on the walls because it's such a pretty spice. And star anise, it's called that because it's in the shape of the star. And it has a very delicious licoricey smell and taste. So if you like that licoricey smell and taste, this is the spice for you. So a little bit of background. It is made from the fruit of the Chinese evergreen tree. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but it's Illicium verum. And the fruit, the seeds, and the oils from the tree are used for all kinds of purposes, for cooking, for medicinal reasons. It's been, there are a lot of uses, which we will get into as well. So the plant is indigenous to southeastern China, and also some people say Vietnam, and some people say Japan. So definitely Asian countries is where it has originated. And the star shapes, so there are pods on the inside here. I know, I just want to keep showing you. See how there are pods? And then there are seeds inside the pods that are also used. These, it sounds to me like the seeds have been taken out. So it's just the pod. Still very fragrant, aromatic. Okay, so the seeds and the pods can be used whole like this and put in things like mulled wine, or they can be ground into a powder, which also, that is probably more useful for things like baking and pastries and things like that. So it's used, like I said, it's been used in Asian countries for a long time. China, Vietnam, India, and the Middle East. It's used in the cuisine. It's been used in the cuisine for a long time. One of the 5 spices in Chinese 5-spice. Chinese 5-spice has star anise, it has cloves, it has cinnamon, it has Szechuan peppercorns, and it has fennel. And then that's ground into a powder as well. So star anise is one of the components of Chinese 5-spice. Some of the other spices that pair well with Star anise are coriander, cinnamon, cardamom, and clove. So, a lot of Christmassy inspired recipes or mulled wine or mulled cider. It doesn't have to be alcohol. It could be cider. Use star anise with cinnamon and cloves and all of that because they're such warming, lovely spices. The essential oil is often used in things like candies and liqueurs and perfumes. It does have a very distinct taste and aroma, which I like, but I know not everybody likes that. The flavor is very similar to anise, which I know maybe I should be saying anise if I'm saying star anise, but they're actually different plants. They're not related to each other, even though they smell and taste very similar. But anyway, back to the history. It's been used in Chinese medicine for over 3,000 years, so long time. And it's been used for lung infections, for gas, for colic in babies, and that hasn't all been looked at in the scientific world, but it has been used for centuries and many, many years in a lot of different cultures. So we'll get into that a little bit more, but it's also occasionally used in Persian cooking and Indian cooking, especially the Indian biryani rice dishes. It's often used in those, and also curries, like we were talking about before. And sweet dishes like baked fruits, pies, quick breads, and muffins. Very good. So now more into the health components. In Chinese medical practices, it's often steeped in water, which I had a bunch, I have a whole container of the star anise here with me. It's kind of hard to see. There we go. And I put some in my hot water today in this. Oh, I'm using Raphael's cup today. Last week I was using the A cup. This week I'm using the R cup. This is just water right now. I will have a taste of the mulled wine though. Speaking of which, so we'll do star anise. We'll do a little bit of the recipe, come back to the allspice, then we'll enjoy some wine. So let's see. All right, so traditional Chinese medicine, it's been used, steeped in water and used as a tea to help treat respiratory infections, nausea, constipation, and other digestive issues. It is found to be rich in flavonoids and polyphenols, which we know are good sources of antioxidants. And the particular flavonoid that is in star anise is called anatole, which is spelled a little bit different than it sounds, but it's called anatole. And that gives it, the star anise, that distinct licoricey flavor, and also gives it its bioactive compounds, or the antioxidants. So, good stuff there. And these compounds, okay, so we said they're antioxidant, they're also found to be anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial. So good for bacterial infections or issues or bacterial growth where it shouldn't be. Some studies have found that the antibiotic components of star anise are as strong as antibiotics that are, synthetically made. So that was interesting. There have been some studies in test tubes finding that it does help with urinary tract infections, the bacteria that is involved with that, so that could be helpful. Let's see. And then this is interesting. So in the pharmaceutical industry, star anise is a major source of shikimic acid. That's spelled kind of funny too, shikimic acid, and that is used to make the anti-influenza drug Tamiflu. So that's a big component of that medication. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that star anise it is a strong antiviral compounds, or it has some strong antiviral compounds. So that was pretty cool. And yes, they've also found in studies in test tubes that the essential oil coming from star anise can also help with other viral infections like cold sores. So good stuff. Good stuff from this little spice. I know I keep showing you, but I just like the shape of it. Okay, so let's check on this mulled wine. Then we'll start to talk about allspice. Then we'll come back to the mulled wine because I have a couple of things to add to the mulled wine. And as you know, if you watch my show regularly, I changed a couple of things in the recipe because that's what I do. So the recipe is called Citrus and Anise mulled wine. And it's from Serious Eats. You can find this recipe on relish.com. That's where I found it. And it was one of the top recipes using star anise. So I thought, how fun. Mulled wine is a great beverage to have during the holidays. And, you know, mulled cider is just as good. Our neighbors for Halloween, they made mulled apple cider and put a bunch of spices in it. And then for the adults, they added rum if you wanted to, but, you know, you don't have to. And it was delicious. So just like a warm, spiced beverage is just so nice during the holiday season. So we've got our citrus and anise mulled wine going on right now. So I'll tell you what goes into the recipe. So basically, you take your spices. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this just to show you what I did. All right. You heat a pan or a skillet. And then take some star anise. I think it just says 1, but I did like 3. And put that in the skillet. Put those in the skillet. And I'm going to take 6 allspice berries. So I'm going to just show you. Here we go. 6 allspice berries. Put those in there too. And a cinnamon stick. We'll take one more out. Got a cinnamon sticks in here. We used these in the cinnamon week. Okay, and then you just kind of heat these up just so they become a little bit fragrant. And then also it calls for coriander seed and cardamom pods, which I did not have, so I did not put those in. Although I do think that would taste really good. So if you have those available, put them in as well. But I think it's still going to taste pretty good. I kind of doubled up on the spices. Okay, so those are starting to smell really nice. Okay, then in the meantime, get a bottle of wine. It doesn't have to be a fancy one. And I used, it's called 40 Nights, but it says to use Cabernet Sauvignon. So that's what I used. You put that in a little pot or whatever could fit a bottle of wine and heat it just until it starts to simmer. So you just want it warm. And then you put you can put this in a spice bag. I put it in like a disposable tea bag, the kind that you just, you put your own loose tea in. But you can also just put it right in. I think that's what we'll do right now. I'm going to have double the spice in this wine. Okay. So you just want it to become fragrant. Okay. So then envision heating your bottle of wine, which I already did. Put it in the slow cooker. I wish you could smell this because it smells so good. It smells so good. I'm going to add more spice because why not? Okay. Then you take an orange and juice it into the wine, which I already did. And then it says to put the orange whole, which I juiced the oranges and then I just put the whole thing in. So I cut them into like 6 pieces and then squeezed them in. And then I kept the outside of the orange in there too. So we've got orange, we've got wine. It's been cooking for gosh, 2.5 hours now. It says to cook it for 2 hours. And now at this point, we're supposed to add 1/4 of a cup of maple syrup. I'm just going to add just a tiny little splash because I don't want it to be too sweet. But I get the reason, you know, because I did taste it earlier and it did just kind of taste like wine. So there we go. I'm saying that's a tablespoon. 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. Give it a stir. We decided that for dinner tonight, we're having breakfast for dinner. So we're going to have waffles and bacon and eggs. And I thought mulled wine just sounded really delicious to go with that. Okay, and now it calls for a tablespoon of brandy, which I don't have that. And I didn't really know if I wanted to buy a whole thing of brandy. But I do have some spiced rum from Hawaii that we got. And I think that will be a really nice addition. So we'll add that. And it was like half full. So like half of a bottle, little bottle of the spiced rum. I think that's going to make it really good. Okay. All right. And then it says to let that kind of simmer for 30 more minutes. And that'll be that. It makes your house smell really good. And again, you can do this with apple cider. You can do this with non-alcoholic wine. I wonder if it would be good with grape juice. Might be good with grape juice. Okay, so I'll pour myself a little taste of that at the end of the show and let you know how it is. I'm sure it'll be really good. Okay, let's move on to allspice. So this is an interesting, here we go, spice. It smells really good. And I will get into why it's called allspice, which I kind of assumed the reason, but it was good to find out that yes, that was confirmed the reason. So it's from the tropical evergreen tree called the myrtle, from the myrtle family, and it's native to the West Indies and Central America. And it's always been valued for its berries because they're super aromatic, and they also have been used for lots of different reasons in different cultures and countries and parts of the world. So we'll get into that as well. But the fruits are picked from the tree before they're fully ripe, and then they're dried in the sun. And then during this drying process, they turn from green to like a dull reddish brown. These are pretty brown. But I could see how they say there's a reddish tint to it. And it contains a chemical called eugenol, which that gives it its medicinal properties. And traditionally, it's been used for toothaches, it's been used for muscle pain, and it's been used as a germ killer. So I guess antimicrobial. The Mayans were known to use allspice as an embalming agent and to flavor chocolate, like that. And then in the 1600s, the British they came upon the allspice, or the berry, and they named it allspice because of the strong aromatic flavor or the strong flavor and aroma. That it smells like a combination of cloves, peppercorns, cinnamon, and nutmeg. So therefore it was called allspice because it smells like all the spices or a lot of spices, which I thought was pretty interesting. I think it has a strong clove smell to it, but I could see the mix. So that's why it's called allspice. It's typically used in things like mincemeat and pickling spice, but also it can be used in things like mulled wine, because that's in our mulled wine today, and baking as well. So I think it's a component in like the pumpkin pie spice, where they grind up cinnamon and cloves, and I think allspice is included in that as well. I'm not totally sure on that, but I think it is. So let's get into some of the health benefits, which I found a lot of interesting information about allspice. So there are lots of polyphenols. We have that bioactive compound called eugenol that's in it, and that's what gives it its medicinal properties as well. So it has been found to be helpful as a antibacterial, a hypotensive, which means it helps lower blood pressure. It can help with nerve pain, and it has been found to help for just pain relief in general. And there has been some research finding that it could be anti-tumor, particularly for prostate cancer and breast cancer. There is some research on that. So that's pretty interesting. And let's see. So this is what I like to find out, like where different parts of the world, what they use it or how they use it. So in the Caribbean, there's a long history of allspice being used as a tea. So you just steep it in hot water. And that's been used to help with colds, with menstrual cramps, and with upset stomachs. So that's pretty interesting. In Costa Rica, it has been also used to treat upset stomach and diabetes. In Guatemala, it's been used where they crush the berries and use on bruises or sore joints or for muscle aches. So, and in Cuba, it's been used as an herbal mix, used along with other herbs to help relieve indigestion. So lots of great things that allspice has been used for or used as back, throughout time. And they say that maybe it might have been used for indigestion because of the eugenol. It's been known to help with our digestive enzymes. So that can make sense, or that makes sense why it was used for digestive issues. Also in Ayurveda, which is the traditional Indian medicine, it has been used to help relieve respiratory congestion and also help with toothaches. So this is a wide variety of uses for allspice. This was interesting too. Allspice essential oil is often added to massage oils and in baths used like medicinally, and that could help promote circulation and help with muscle pain and muscle cramps and strains. So that's amazing. And it's also been used for headaches to help relieve headaches and combat stress and depression in other areas of the world. So that is also used as teas or in aromatherapy. So some other broader areas that allspice has been found to be helpful is that it does have a high amount of antioxidants in it. So we all know, oxidative stress, all of those free radicals around around us in the environment, in our foods, in, everywhere, basically. Antioxidants are helpful for that because they get rid of those free radicals. So that is a good thing. And also it has been found to, like I was saying before, to help with high blood pressure and digestive issues in Central America. I know that we already said that, but that was just another piece of information I found. This was interesting. They found that it has also been a component in helping with symptoms from menopause. They found some research that Mayan women and Costa Rican women tend to have less intense symptoms of menopause, and they were thinking that it might be due to having more allspice or other herbal supplements in their diet. So that was interesting. And also it has been found to help with inflammation, and that is kind of one of the components why they're studying it for cancer, because that is a component. So anti-inflammatory as well. So that is the story on allspice. Lots of good things about allspice and star anise, star anise, however you want to call it. So let's check on this mulled wine situation behind us. And I highly recommend making this for any sort of holiday gathering this year. I'm going to slice a orange wedge to put on my mulled wine glass because I just think that looks pretty, and then you can squeeze it in too. Actually, I'm going to put it on after I label it. Let's give it a taste. Let's give this a taste. I'm just going to put a little bit in my glass for now. And why not? I'll just squeeze it in because that's going to make it nice and citrusy. Okay. Hopefully, I'm going to put the cover on because we don't want it to evaporate. There's a wine shop in our neighborhood that used to have, pre-COVID, they had wine tastings, and at Christmas time, he would make mulled wine and just like kind of have the crock pot cracked a little bit, and it just made the whole place smell so good. Smells really good. Let's give it a taste. That's nice. That's going to go really well with breakfast for dinner tonight. Yes, mulled wine keeps you warm. You don't have to use any kind of fancy wine. So that's the story on Star Anise, the story on Allspice. You can use them in all kinds of different things. You can make them as teas, put it in mulled wine, lots of broths. If you enjoy the Vietnamese soup pho, there's always Star Anise in that broth as well, or other broths too, but it's a good one. It's a nice warming spice. So thank you all for joining the show. Great to see everybody. I hope you have a great holiday. Stay warm, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you, everybody. Bye.